Few times have been around that track, but something, because I ain't no Drift King. The reason I'm singing Hollaback Girl by Gwen Stefani this week, folks, is that Gwen Stefani famously had a Harajuku era where she took a lot of inspiration from the country of Japan.
Oh.
And yeah. And today we're talking about another film that is very Japanese-centric. See, I tied it all in. We're talking about the third entry in the Fast and Furious franchise, the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. This is the Pod and the Cast Audio Drift, the third episode. My name is Heath Isley. That's not the intro, but don't worry, I got it. This is... You gotta watch it. It's a podcast about film, discussing movies. Each week we watch one movie, only one, that one or more of us have never seen before, and we discuss it. With me, as always, are my hosts, Paul Salazar.
Hey.
Yeah! Eve Chen.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
I messed up that intro because I'm a little loose with it today. I'm a little loose. I'm a little goose. I was singing, I was putting on a show. Putting on a show for the folks, but you know who really puts on a show? Sean Boswell, the main character of the film we're talking about today, Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. He really knows how to put on a show. Just to start off, a little plot rundown for those of you who might not be so familiar. This is, of course, the third entry in the Fast and the Furious franchise. This time, we're following all new characters. Mr. Sean Boswell. He's a 17-year-old ne'er-do-well teenager. He gets in some racing kerfuffles in the good old U.S. of A, and he's shipped off to go live with his U.S. Army dad in beautiful Navy. Thank you. In beautiful Tokyo, Japan. He, in typical teenage coming-of-age sports movie fashion, falls in love with a girl who is dating the biggest asshole in town, and they settle their differences not with fists, but with insert plot-specific activity here.
Fury.
In this case, it's drift racing. Along the way, he meets some characters, he meets some wacky people, some cool guys, and some epic friends. And what's better than that?
Wholesome tales.
Paul, Eve, this is a new movie for both of you. What did you guys think? First impressions of the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
I know our audio listeners cannot see us, but I rolled my eyes when you mentioned, he falls in love with a girl. God, I hate that trope so much.
It's classic.
It's gross. Don't people have other personality traits other than I fell in love with somebody?
Fall in love with yourself.
Right?
You sound like a love. Sorry, you can't appreciate the classic love story. Okay, you listen to some Taylor Swift. It's a love story, baby. Just say yes.
It's just listen. If I want a really bad love story, I'm gonna watch a rom-com because that's exactly what they're for.
And we will watch some rom-coms in this show.
We have that planned.
Oh my God!
But I don't want to see that in a movie where I'm going in it for the cars and the cool stunts.
Yeah. Give me some queers.
Right? Don't give me that. I fell in love with a girl. Oh no, she's with the bad guy. Oh God. Annoying.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm already sensing a conflict here because you're shitting on the best movie, my favorite Fast movie. Paul, what do you think? What do you think?
Going into it, I was like, all right, cool. Totally new characters. The budget for cameras and just the cinematography, semi-cheesy, intro sequence with the letters. It was a little better, right? So that was cool. Cool music. I was like, oh, is this POD? I don't think it was. But it was different. It was cool. And then, after the first race, they were definitely doing turns. It was a way better first race, even though it was in the suburbs. What, Eve? They're turning this time.
It was just funny because in the first movie, there was no turning. In the second movie, they started turning. Now this movie, all they're fucking doing is turning.
See, that's a big part. Just right off the bat, I'm going to say that this is the first Fast and the Furious movie of the franchise that I would consider actually good. I like the first two, but I wouldn't, if somebody was I think they're bad, I wouldn't be no, you're wrong. But this is a good movie. This is a well-constructed movie. It has good action. It has entertaining races. And the big part of that is the fact that they turn. We've made progress. We have learned how to turn. We're no longer, as Eve mentioned an episode or two ago, just driving right through houses because we're unable to turn. We've developed the technology to turn a vehicle and it makes it so much better.
The wheels are, because the first one I'm believing, or I'm assuming it's all about drag racing. And then this one's like, okay, it's more inner city. So they're going to have to navigate an urban environment, which is not straightforward. Get it? First of all, there's so many things. Okay, just like initially, I'm not going to go in depth, but my first initial reactions was all that for a girl. You know, when he was tumbling, broke the car, destroyed it. All that for a girl, for a probably date with a relationship that might. It's like so like surface level. Second of all,
I just wanted to say on that point, I think the opening of this movie is hilarious. The fact that so this movie opens and we get like a pretty cool montage, I think, and right off the bat, this movie is directed by it's funny enough, this is kind of the most important entry in the franchise because this introduced two of the figures who sort of have ran with this franchise the most. So it introduced director Justin Lin, who directed this, number 4, number 5, and number 6, and is directing Fast 9 and Fast 10.
Wow.
And then it introduced
Beyond, so like
he has he's and it introduced screenwriter Chris Morgan, who has written I think all of these from like this one through maybe 7, and then also Hobbs and Shaw. This is the one where like the main creative force in these movies gets introduced. But right off the bat, I think Justin Lin is like demonstrating more creativity in the director's chair than the previous two. I mean, John Singleton's a great filmmaker, but the first two look competent. But like right off the bat, I love like Justin Lin's speed up slow-mo stuff he does in this, like the montage at the beginning. That looks rad. Going back to your point, the intro of this movie, they race over a girl in their high school who's just like, hey, whichever one of you wins the race, you get to fuck me. That's like...
Real quick comment. They're in high school. The dudes look 40.
They do.
Yeah. I wrote that's my very first note.
They were old. They were like 30 when they were filming this.
That's my very first note is that Lucas Black, the actor who plays Sean, the main character, he looks 45. And the worst part is this movie came out in 2006, right? So they were probably shooting in 2005.
So he was...
Lucas Black, the actor, was born in 82. So he was 23, 24 when they were making this movie. And he looks so old. Like his hairline, no offense to the man. I'm sure he's a nice man. But your hair, you gotta fix your hairline, fam. Like that shit's fucked up.
What is he gonna do about genetics?
The wild thing is he was only 24, but he looks 40. So I'm gonna shit on him real quick. I'm older than him. I don't look that young. All right. Anyways, like he looked so old, dude. Like for the part at least. High school, just make it college. I'm tired of seeing high school little shits.
He could be like just a college student who's aged really badly. Like those exist.
Poorly.
He was supposed to be 17, but like, I don't know. I just accepted that he was a grown ass man in this movie.
Same, because they're like, you're lucky we didn't try you as an adult. I'm like, what?
He is an adult.
Yeah, I'm like, this is a full grown ass tax paying adult in the US.
It's funny because like the fact that he's a child doesn't really even factor into it because this movie. The plot is like very cookie cutter in the same way that the previous two are, but this one I think it finds a better mold because it uses like the Karate Kid, like generic like sports movie, like / shonen anime mold. And I think it's funny because it works like a shonen anime. Like it feels like Yu-Gi-Oh, but with cars, because just like in Yu-Gi-Oh, like all of them are children, like ostensibly, but none of them act like they're teenagers. And they all like school or any of the things that like kids have to do doesn't really factor into their lives at all.
That's so true. Like all animes, like JoJo's.
So why did they make him a kid? You know, the only thing I can possibly think of is that like they needed a reason to force him to go to Japan.
I mean, in the 2000s, like every casting director to hire people that were like 10 years older because they thought they were better actors. Dude was not a good actor anyways. Just get an actual child. Come on.
No, I noticed that a lot of the acting in this movie this was so bad. I disconnected from them so much because it wasn't convincing. The line reads felt so flat.
I agree with some of that.
I want to circle franchise. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. This is like my top 2 of these movies, unfortunately. No, so you mentioned why they were teenagers, and Justin Lin wasn't the credited screenwriter, but I'm pretty confident he probably took a pass at this. But I think one of the reasons is originally the plot for this movie, because Chris Morgan is the only credited screenwriter, I believe, but his original draft had this movie being about Dominic Toretto solving a murder mystery in Japan while racing cars.
What?
And then Justin Lin had, I think, directed one movie before this. It's a movie called Better Luck Tomorrow. It's about Asian American like high school students in Orange County who
Wait, what? Why Orange?
Yeah,
they're in California originally, not Bakersfield or anything like that, right?
In this movie, well, this is his movie he first directed, Better Luck Tomorrow. So it's about Asian American students in Orange County who are like overachievers, and they decide to become criminals like out of boredom. And that was his first movie. That was like a big coming out of Sundance. I think that was like Sundance 2002 that was a big movie there. And so he got hired off the back of that. And I assume that at some point he did like a pass on the script and like decided to add some sort of high school elements because he is familiar that territory, because that's where he had worked with. And a funny thing, while we're bringing a Better Luck Tomorrow, you have to talk about it for a minute. So the character of Han in this movie, who I think is the best character and is probably my favorite character in the entire franchise. Han rules. Oh, what are you guys' feelings on Han?
Han was fantastic. I liked him a lot. He was probably the most charismatic person in this movie.
Yeah, he's awesome. Paul?
Real quick, because I was looking at the actor. There's a dude named Christian Salazar. His role is just chubby Hispanic kid.
That's awesome.
Sorry, I was just looking at that.
That's it? That was his whole thing?
Yeah, but he has his last name. Same last name as me.
Your long lost cousin.
That's
chubby.
You.
Han, definitely better than the characters in the 1 and 2, as in like, fleshed out. Because we're saying like we're getting more of a narrative and we're getting more fleshed out characters, kind of like introducing like, hey, this is going to be a franchise. Like I said in the first one, like it's a to be continued kind of thing, especially with that end credit kind of thing we were watching, or not end credit, but with Vin Diesel coming out. It's just like, oh, this is going to be a reoccurring thing that we have to suffer through. I mean, enjoy, you know?
Talking about Han, I just wanted to bring up Han because we were talking about Better Luck Tomorrow, Justin Lin's first movie. And funny little thing about these movies, and sort of the reason that Better Luck Tomorrow has persisted at all as a movie, it's like a small little independent movie, but Han is a character in that movie. And so when Justin Lin came on to make this movie, he just ported over a character that was in his first movie, which makes Better Luck Tomorrow part of the Fast universe because he's in that. And there's no relevance to that. I just think that's like an interesting tidbit when you're talking about Justin Lin, that he's carried over this character for so long from his first movie.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. We love universes.
Yeah, I love that. This is the FFCU, Fast and Furious.
Yeah, the Fast and Furious cinematic universe. We have Han.
Games, so yeah,
exactly. There's a cartoon. We have kids.
There's
we
a
have
book.
Better Luck Tomorrow. Kids doing crimes in Orange County, and then we have Hobbs and Shaw with Idris Elba robot cyborg man.
I can't believe I'm waiting for that. Honestly,
we're running the gamut.
Jesus
here.
Christ, Idris Elba. Why is it kind of going to be like what was that one movie where it's like based off the Stephen King Tower or something, Dark Tower?
Oh, the Dark Tower.
The Dark Tower. Yeah, it's gonna be like that. Watch.
No, that movie's a lot worse.
Oh, Idris, why?
I can't believe you remember the Dark Tower. Like, you're the only person.
I've never seen it.
Did you watch it?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh, no. Okay, I've never seen it either.
I'm like, Bow Wow. Oh, wait, sorry. We're not talking about cast yet. Sorry.
No, we can talk about the cast. We can talk about the cast. Well, what do you have to say about the cast? What do you have to say about Bow Wow?
Bow Wow is Twinkie, Sean's first friend he meets. So why is Bow Wow? Why are there so many American? I know it's because his dad was in the military, and that's like a stationary school, or what's it called? Like the base school that they send their kids to. Bow Wow,
something like
of all
that.
people, haven't heard about him in a while. So that was neat to like see Bow Wow in his like heyday kind of thing, like when he was actually popular and like relevant.
Oh, poor Bow Wow.
Rest in peace. No, he's still alive, but like his career is not.
Well, no, hey, he is going to be in F9.
Oh, no way. What about Ja Rule?
Yes. No, Ja Rule's busy fixing his penis. He can't be in it. He doesn't have time.
He's constantly trying to figure out how to fix his dick.
I bet.
He's got like the Swedish penis pump that Austin Powers had. He bought that one, and he's constantly pumping his penis.
What I would like to understand is why in all three movies they felt like there was a role to fill, that they needed black rapper.
Right.
Why? That's very consistent.
Well, it was like, it was like a trope, or like a, what's it called? Oh my God, not stereotype, but it was like forgot the word.
And these are like, they're hip hop movies. They have a lot of hip hop on the soundtrack. Like, that's like the demographic that they're trying to appeal to, like car guys and like people who like rap music. So like they get cars, and then you get a rapper. And Bow Wow was Bow Wow hot in 2006? I feel like even by 2006,
yeah,
Bow Wow was like over. Like they should have gotten like Soulja Boy.
Yeah. Oh man,
he could have cranked that,
bro.
He could have cranked one of the Nissan Altimas or whatever when he's drifting.
Oh, Bow Wow's like, he was even featured Like, they didn't even use his music. They're like, you could be in it, but we can't use your music. He's like, deal.
Nobody wants to. You know what they did? What music they do feature though slaps, and they didn't want to ruin the soundtrack by
Far
having
East
Bow Wow
movements.
on it.
Yeah, the soundtrack in this movie was really good. I will give it that.
Yeah, they have we got Far East Movement. We have Teriyaki Boys who do the soundtrack. That Kid Rock in the intro when we're doing the white boy summer race off in the housing development complex or whatever. Hashtag white boy summer.
No,
shout
don't
out.
do that.
Yeah, shout out. No, shout out.
No.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that. The other two people of color in this podcast are saying
Eve doesn't want to see white boys win.
First of all,
they don't like seeing.
I'm so somber.
You win every other day of your life.
No,
you don't need a summer.
It's white boy summer, baby.
This is fucking disgusting. Keep your shirt on.
I don't like it.
Oh, I'm gonna keep my shirt on because I'm fat. But
I'll take mine off. No, not
this is not a safe space for white people.
Oh my! No. And Italians, because Italians don't exist.
Italians are white.
Right.
Shut up.
They don't exist.
No, they're not. They're POC.
They're fucking white. They're
this
so
is Italian.
white.
This is Italian erasure.
Because like the Greeks, they were first Greek and then they were Romans. So Italians just don't exist. Anyways, that's it. That's simple.
Greeks, more like geeks. Speaking of geeks, we're talking about the cast. Let's talk about Lucas Black as Sean Boswell.
Yeah, I would like to talk about that character specifically.
Okay.
Do you have things to say about the actor before we move on to that?
I mean, other that he looks 40 and that, like most people who have been in these movies, he hasn't really had much of a career outside of these movies. No. I mean, he's sort of unremarkable as an actor. Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't describe him as like the worst actor in these movies, but I certainly wouldn't use words like the best or particularly good either.
You know,
I don't think he's good.
Most of the lead actors like Paul Walker and fucking what's his name? Fucking Lucas Black, whatever. I forgot his real name. My bad. Hold on.
Just mediocre white guys.
Sean Boswell. Yeah, they're very mediocre and they're very like monotone actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like very little emotion. Like at literally any point in the movie does he like ever approach anything other than just monotone blankness. Which, I mean, like, I don't know. If you're going to be in a movie, you should be able to have like more than neutrality as an emotion. Like, express something. He's not really capable of that. He just talks with his thick accent, which I assume is real. It's a very thick
Alabama. Sorry, yeah. Oh, it's California because like it was like
no. He's from Texas.
He's from Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Y'all weren't paying attention. Don't you remember the scene where he's messaging his girlfriend and he says, "Why don't I ever see you drift?" And she replies in the instant messaging thing, "Because you never asked." His username is Bama Boy. He's a good old boy from Birmingham.
Bama. Like, you know, like Bam Bam.
Home Alabama.
Yeah. He's Bam. What if instead of being from Alabama, he was Bam Margera, the skateboarder from the 2000s? What about that? That's a thing they could have done.
That would have been a plot twist, yeah.
Yeah, they could have done that instead.
It would have had nothing to do with the movie, but sure.
Yeah, they could. I mean,
it would have been sick. So yeah, thoughts on Lucas Black? Bad? Yeah, bad.
Okay, yes. Lucas Black as an actor, yes, bad. Also, the character Sean, also bad. Oh my god, I hate it so much that his whole personality was like, I'm gonna race fast cars, I'm a fucking delinquent, and I like pretty women. That was his whole thing.
Come on.
Yeah, he had no depth. There was no depth.
Fast cars and hot girls, that's all you care about at 17.
There was no depth.
Well.
It did it because he never actually gets to fuck anybody.
Off screen.
They fuck off screen.
Insinuations.
He's the new Drift King. You think he's not fucking?
Bro, they can't because he's supposed to be a minor. They can't show him, they can't insinuate that.
Technically, the age of consent in Japan is 13, so they're going to hell.
That's so...
Damn, it's crazy how Eve just knows that off top. What's the reason for that?
The reason for that? Okay, it's because...
Yeah, what's the reason for that, Eve Cheney?
So this is not a plug. I was watching an anime called Violet Evergarden, and there's an episode where they have like this 14-year-old princess who is like, you know how like they arranged like the marriage to this prince who's like in his 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, she's 14. He's a whole ass adult. Why are they getting married? And turns out that the age of consent in Japan is 13. And that's why they thought that was acceptable.
Yikes.
So I looked it up, and that's how I found out.
If there are any libertarians in our audience, you should probably start booking your tickets to Japan now.
That's gross. Don't do that.
Yeah. I'm just saying, the libertarians, they're all about their low age of consent. Everybody send Eve some emails on why you agree with them about Japan's age of consent.
Please don't.
Eve Cheney, noted lower age of consent advocate and pro-torture advocate.
Oh my God.
I am putting all of my social on private now. I can't do this.
Oh my God. And
every week you're going to say a new thing that gets added onto you until you're just like a cartoon supervillain.
You are cancelable right now.
Why can't we just focus on why Ja Rule's dick doesn't work?
Because we can't segue. We got two enemies now.
Well, by the way, Ja Rule's penis doesn't fucking work.
We have to give Ja Rule a break. What about Bow Wow's penis? Do we think Bow Wow's penis works?
I believe he's young. I believe he's you know what?
More virile?
You know what? I think that Bow Wow fucks. That is my honest opinion.
Because, not well, but
no, I think that he fucks. I think that he fucks great because there's that one scene where he's in the club with all the women. He's like, oh, imagine being a model. You're posing all day. And like, what do you do at the end of the day? Like, you're going to go to the guy the little guy that makes you laugh. And I'm like, I like that.
Oh,
I like
so he's just charming. But do you think, okay, yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's big dick energy right there.
Yeah, you're right.
Bow Wow does have big dick energy. I kind of like Bow Wow in this movie.
Because first they bow, then they wow.
Yeah, there we go. That's something. There, right on. Yeah, but I like Bow Wow in this movie. I think he's fun. Like, he's funny. He does a good job of serving like the comedic foil purpose that like Tyrese fills when he's in the movie.
Right.
Or Ludacris also fills sometimes. Like, he's not a great actor or whatever. He's not going to win an Academy Award for this performance, but like, he's fine. Yeah, he's fun to watch on screen.
Fun.
Yeah.
I certainly had way more fun watching Tokyo Drift than I did Too Fast, Too Furious.
Is it because the turning? Well, it's like, that's the thing. Like,
because of the turning.
They all have like a theme, like a different style of racing. That's what it says on Wikipedia, at least. The first one was, like I said, drag racing. And then the second one was more, I don't know. And then the third one was just drift racing, like specifically drifting. Even though they did do that in the first movie, I don't know.
I have a fun fact because we're talking about the specificity of this film in terms of its subject matter, and they went to Tokyo obviously because that's like a subculture that was in Tokyo at the time. So apparently Tokyo is. And I am not, just to preface this, I am not an expert on the Fast and the Furious franchise. I'm merely a fan. So if any of this is factually incorrect, I don't care. But from what I understand, it's notoriously difficult to get shooting permits in Tokyo. I mean, it's a big fucking city. It's like the most populous city in the world. Of course it is. And they couldn't get permits to shoot this movie. So instead what they did is they just shot it anyway. And Universal hired a decoy director. So when the police would come and they'd be like, hey, you can't shoot here. Who's the director? They'd arrest the decoy and Justin Lin would get off scot-free.
Bro, that's kind of like
when
they
fucked.
Like in Breaking Bad when they hire someone to get arrested. It's like a stunt double.
The fake Walt.
Yeah, and I'm like,
who likes being in prison.
Yeah, like they're like, I'm more comfortable in prison. Like, I'm like, dude, so that's a thing? Who was this decoy? I want to know. I want to hire him. Hold on, I'll be back with that information.
But yeah, I just thought that was like that's an interesting tidbit about the production of this movie. This movie, I think, no, it is. Talking about this movie, I was going to talk about its performance, but we should save that for later because we were talking about the cast. We talked about Lucas Black. We talked about Bow Wow. We talked about Han. Han is cool. We should touch on Han for just a second more because I think Han is like the best character in this movie. He's the only like actually good or interesting character. This is a very sort of traditional movie in terms of its story structure. Like it is a very, like I said, it's very Karate Kid. They mention the Karate Kid in it. Like it's very sports movie / hero's journey. And Han does really good, like in that wise mentor role. He's like a mix between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Han Solo in that he's wise as fuck, but he's also like super cool and chill. and he gets babes.
Yeah, I had some like Mr. Miyagi vibes from the way that he was talking to Sean.
Yeah, he's like dropping these nuggets of wisdom that are like super deep. There was one though that I noted down when they're on like the balcony when they're playing soccer, sort of in the middle of the film. He's talking to Sean, and he like is like, look at all those people in Shibuya Crossing or whatever. They're all sheep, basically. And I was like, oh God, we're getting like some Ayn Rand / like coronavirus QAnon conspiracy vibes here. Thankfully it didn't last long, but I was just like, fuck, I don't need to hear this, Han. Just talk about like racing and getting babes again. Yeah,
I loved that there was a little training montage of him learning how to drift.
It was almost like stereotypical. Also, it just says the guy was a fall guy. That's what they call it. The guy the fake director.
Yeah, he was there, and then they'd be like, where's the director? And there he is, like, and then they arrest him.
Like really enthusiastically too. He would be like, I'm here, arrest me.
I do want to mention though that Sean, like, why would they introduce a brand new white male protagonist that I don't know anything about? I have no rapport with this man. Why should I give a shit about what he does and what happens to him? So I was really confused when this movie opened and it was like a brand new person. I was like, who the fuck is this man?
Well, that's just because they just couldn't get anyone back. Everybody was kind of doing their own thing. I think Paul Walker was like filming some movie that nobody cared about at the time. Michelle Rodriguez, I'm sure, was busy because she actually has a career outside of these movies. Vin Diesel, I'm sure, was like doing other stuff. That's another thing. Vin Diesel in this movie. Vin Diesel was not originally in this movie. This movie was received very poorly by test audiences. They were disappointed by the lack of connections to the previous entries in the franchise. So Universal filmed that final little teaser scene at the end with Vin Diesel. They got him back, and he didn't get paid for it.
How did you
not
just
money, anyways?
Oh, not money, just credit.
He did a trade.
Exposure. Okay.
No, he didn't do it for exposure. He agreed. Vin Diesel is very passionate, I think, about his Chronicles of Riddick movies for whatever reason. Yeah. He loves those movies. He agreed to do this movie for free, shoot that little scene for free in exchange for the rights to the Chronicles of Riddick franchise. Oh. So, I mean, good on him. That's like a major dub. He gets to own the rights to like movies that he's in. I think that's pretty sick.
But no one remembers the Chronicles. No one.
They had a sick ass game. There was like a game on Xbox that was like a Chronicles of Riddick first person shooter, and that game was rad. Nobody cares about the movie though. I mean, you know what? Yeah. I'm not gonna say that. I'm sure somebody cares about Chronicles of Riddick, just not me or anyone on the show.
Scorpion King. Like I don't remember that. Like,
I've never even heard of those.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you are mad that I said nobody cares about the Chronicles of Riddick, please email Eve Chen.
Oh my God.
Their email will be in the bio. Send them an email if you're mad. And they will read it and give you a thoughtful reply.
You have to send fruit roll-ups with it.
I don't understand why I've become the target.
Well, no, it's just because you're the best at handling these things. Me and Paul will just flip out.
Yeah, I just draw stuff. I don't know what I do. I just look at the stats.
I just tell yucks. I'm not serious. I'm just the funny man here.
So I'm supposed to be HR? That's me?
Yeah, come on.
I could add you as HR. There's like a thing where I could add different people for like the producers of podcasts.
I feel like shouldn't we have discussed this beforehand? I don't like that this responsibility
we're discussing this on air. That way you can't back out.
It's a bureaucracy.
And so everyone knows that they can contact you.
I decline. If they have any sort of problem. I don't want this.
No, it's okay. You can do it. You know who else I decline? Natalie Kelly as Neela, Takashi's and later Sean's girlfriend. I decline her performance because it's also no good.
All the acting in this movie was not good.
Except for Han.
Maybe except for Han.
Han rules. Han is cool. Natalie Keeley as Neela, not very good. I don't think she's done anything since. I'm not familiar. Oh, she was on Vampire Diaries. Okay, that's cool. I mean, good for her. She's not good in this movie. She's kind of boring. She's like the least interesting female character that's been introduced in this franchise so far, which is probably why they haven't brought her back. I mean, especially when you compare her to like Michelle Rodriguez, who kicks ass. It's like, this woman's not really doing anything for me. She's just sort of generic love interest.
She just kind of served as a love interest for the male protagonist, and that was it. She didn't have a whole lot more depth other than that. Like, we get some of her backstory, right? Like her mom was a kabuki, which is something of a prostitute or performer. And she was like taken in by our movie's villain. What's Takashi. That's right.
Drift King.
Yeah, DK the fucking Takashi. And she's like, we get some of her backstory and how like he took her in with his grandmother and they took care of her. But like, other than that, I feel like that was just kind of exposition. It didn't serve a lot of purpose into like intentions, because when you give someone's backstory, it's supposed to be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's why they feel this way, or that's why they do these things. You know, it's like when you have an asshole character like Takashi's the perfect example of this, right? Because he's a dick. And he has all of these bully-ish tendencies, and he takes out all of his anger and his frustration on like all of these people, and he wants to feel powerful. But that's because when we meet his uncle makes him feel really small. Oh, I miss your father, as sort of a way to say like, you are not as good as your father and you never will be. And so he's constantly like, he's in this business with the Yakuza, and he's trying to earn his family's approval. That's why he's such an insecure fucking prick. And so it's like, okay, that makes sense. You're a tragic villain. You have a tragic backstory and you're insecure, and that's why you lash out. With the love interest,
Neela, I think.
Neela?
Something like that.
Yeah. And it's
actor,
like,
oh, real quick, the actor is actually really cool. Nathalie Kelly. She's indigenous, and she's like a climate activist, environmentalist. And she does a lot of like advocacy for that. It's cool.
We're not shitting on her. We're not taking a Ja Rule level.
Yeah.
We're not mounting a Ja Rule type attack on her. She's just not very good in the movie, but like, I'm sure she's a lovely person. Oh, sounds like she's doing good stuff.
Yeah. Like, that's why I'm like, we have to stay away from that, because she's a very nice person.
Yeah. No. This is not an attack on her as a person.
The actor.
This is an attack on her character. It's her character, right? Because you can have a brilliant actor and a poorly written character. It's not going to be a good movie. That's it.
I will say, you mentioned the uncle. I just want to shout out real quick. The uncle in this movie is played by Sonny Chiba, who is a famous Japanese martial artist.
Nice.
One of like the first famous, like world famous like martial arts movie stars. A cool dude, screen legend. It's awesome that he's in this movie for like the 5 minutes as a Yakuza boss. That's like the coolest part. Yeah, it's pretty sick, and it's cool that he's in this movie.
I mean, they always go to Yakuza in these movies. I don't know, like there's other gangs, I'm pretty sure.
No,
well, I mean that's in Japan. Yeah, Japan is like that's the Yakuza Central. That is the Japanese mafia.
It's like the stereotype of like, oh, there's only Bloods and Crips, like or like the mafia over here. I'm like, bro, get some like other gangs, like some like random.
Oh, there are different like families. It's more just like Yakuza is just like an umbrella term for like Japanese mob.
Oh,
I mean, Yakuza is a specific mafia in Japan, but I think they also used Yakuza because like that's everybody knows about that.
Everyone knows that.
You've heard about it at one point or another. So like it wouldn't make sense to be like, oh, X gang, be like, oh, okay, sure.
I want to learn.
Because people already understand what Yakuza stands for. And like as soon as you hear that name, you're like, you already understand the underlying threat behind it. So
yeah, you gotta have some economical storytelling. You can't waste 20 minutes being like, here's this different gang that's like not the Yakuza, but it's just be like, no, it's the Yakuza. Okay,
I want to know I want to know the gang politics. I want to know the inner workings of like why they're. That's
well, you just want a different movie. This is a movie about racing cars.
That's a whole different movie.
I want them to make a Yakuza movie. You know, like the game. I want
it exists. There are movies. We can watch them at some point if you'd like. They are out there.
It's just not this movie, Paul.
It's just not this movie.
It's not this movie.
I'm going to edit everything y'all say out and just keep my half of it.
No.
It's just going to be us saying Yakuza over and over again.
Yeah, Yakuza.
Speaking of Yakuza, Takashi, what about this? What if Takashi had been played by Tekashi 6ix9ine?
I was thinking that. Wait, Tekashi 6ix9ine was like what, an infant in 2006?
He's like 24, 25, something like that.
Oh, so he was like
10 years old.
10 years
or
old.
something.
Yeah.
Imagine that. That would have been cool. Yeah. Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Could have been the chubby kid instead of
shows
Christian
up with his
Salazar.
rainbow hair. He could have been. He could have played chubby Mexican boy.
Chubby Mexican boy.
The number one role in this movie.
It was so good. But
he should have been the main protagonist. Fuck the Sean character.
I know, he would have been great. He'd be like, hi. He would have played the part of like a high schooler, because I'm pretty sure that's what high schoolers look like, 10-year-olds. Not
exactly. All high schoolers are 10-year-olds, and high schoolers are, I don't know.
I looked like 10 years old in high school.
Abort this.
Young. Yeah.
Shit. Oh my God. I was driving home from Trader Joe's today, and like all of the kids from the middle school down the street from my house were getting out. God, they looked like babies. Do you remember being in middle school and like you thought you were so cool? I thought I was so cool when I was like 13.
I did not think that.
I thought I was so cool when I was 13. I was like, fuck yeah.
You are cool. That's why.
I was cool when I was not when I was 13, but when I was 14, I was really cool.
You were also a bully.
You were a bully. That's why.
I was not only a bully, but I also was getting like I was getting with ladies at 14.
You
14
were? Oh my
14
god.
Nice.
14 was the peak. I was a little Sean Boswell, okay? I was
You peaked
was-
in high school, Heath?
I peaked at year 1 of high school. The rest of high school was bad because I stopped getting with ladies and I started getting with League of Legends.
Oh no, that was your
the LL.
downfall.
Yeah, League of Legends.
Okay,
I've been cursed.
let's segue back into this movie.
There's no segues in this movie. They drive cars.
Fuck, you're right.
Wait, so I want to talk about the proposal of Takashi just being like, yeah, so if you lose to Sean, you have to leave Tokyo. First of all, economically, financially, how is he just like, is he going to pay for his ticket? Or is he just going to be like, you got to swim back, bro?
He's been working with Han.
Uh-huh.
He has money.
Okay.
Han's a crime guy.
But like, he's just going to be like, I'll pay for your ticket. I'm sorry. You got to go back to Alabama. Like, what?
Well, he would. I don't know where he'd go. He can't go back to America. That's why it's like a do or die situation because he can't really go back to America because otherwise he'll get arrested.
Right.
Oh my God.
Because
Wait,
that was
so, like-
that was the whole thing. The reason why he moved to Japan to be with his dad was because he had committed so many crimes in America that they were going to put him in jail.
I don't know. I assume that Japan like extradites criminals to the U.S.
Yeah.
Like I don't think.
Is he kind of like what's it called? Like he's a fugitive of the law now? That's
Yeah,
Well,
he's
awesome.
he's not running from the law. So that in that
He's driving from it.
in that beginning scene
There we
where
go.
he's in that interrogation room with the 2 cops and his mom comes in. She negotiates with the cops. She said there must be another way.
Negotiates. Remember, he was like, "Oh, it's
She
missed," and the guy
does.
was like,
Sean's mom fucks cops to get him out of trouble.
"Yeah," and their dicks don't work. She just does it.
No, their dicks do work. They take Viagra beforehand.
Their dicks work because they are dicks. That's why they're just whole
No,
body.
yeah. I'm glad that like when people listen to this, they're gonna get to hear a Paul making like blowjob noises into the microphone.
Make the
like-
blowjob noise and get the Eve. You got to do the ASMR of the fruit roll up at the same time. That's just like that.
At the same time,
Do you think that reminds me? Have you guys heard of like the grapefruit technique?
Oh yeah, who has? not? I
yes,
just-
who hasn't?
Wait,
Okay,
didn't
I
we
was
talk
just-
about that Eve like 2 days ago? Did we?
Grapefruit
I
technique.
The
did a
grapefruit
demo
method.
of it. We did, yeah.
That's what that kind of sounded. Do you think Sean's mom was giving those cops the grapefruit method?
Yes.
And grapefruit juice burns fat, so you're losing weight and sucking dick.
Oh wait, nice.
Mhm.
Nice.
What if it makes the dick lose weight and it gets small?
Oh my
I don't
god!
know.
So it's just like a P9.
That's what happened to Ja Rule.
I was going to say that.
It was a grapefruit method gone
Dude
wrong.
used a lemon instead, so it just squeezed all his juice out.
Oh, imagine lemon juice in the hole. You know how bad that would hurt?
Well, some people like the urethra stuff. We just like stab it, like
Oh, like needles and shit? Christ,
That's weird.
this my shit. All the needles up in my dick.
Oh my god!
Oh no.
It reminded me. Of
You know who doesn't have needles in their dick? Sean Boswell, the main character of the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
Do we know that for sure? Because he's so tense the whole movie.
He's so uptight. Yeah, Sean sucks. He's whack. All right, I just want to say we're shitting on this movie a lot. I like this movie a lot. I think it's really fun and entertaining, and I like
it's
Han.
fun. There's a difference, right? Because the Too Fast, Too Furious, I had a really hard time with. It was a bad movie, and it was hard to watch. Tokyo Drift, bad movie, fun movie. There's a very fine difference.
I think that the performances are not very good in this movie, but I honestly think just from a structure perspective that I would flat out call this a good movie. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, but I love that like sports movie, like kid moves to a new town, like he has to deal with the bully, he like solves the problem, like the Karate Kid or like the Mountain High or whatever you want to say, like winning the ski tournament plot. Like I love that. I think that's like such a classic story that just always works no matter what like the thing is. Like you can slot boxing into it, you can slot karate, you can slot card games, you can slot racing cars, and it always works. And that's why I like this movie, is because of that structure that works so well.
Mhm.
And also I will say, like, this is, I mentioned it earlier, I think this is like the best looking of the movies so far. Like especially like the action sequences, like the racing is really good. Like not only like the choreography of it, if that's the word you want to use, like because they turn, but like it's like mostly it's mostly real cars in this one. Like there's very little like CG.
Yeah,
like
the hyperspace effect that.
Yeah, like that's not here.
The brain blast moments.
Yeah, the brain blast moments it's like wide shots or like medium shots of like engaging like car racing with like real cars, presumably with stunt drivers.
They did some really beautiful shots of cars, like, from the side, and good color grading for that too. Like it really like, and the cars weren't like wildly colorful or like vibrant. It was just like a very nice realistic feel, almost like more cinematic. Camera movements, the slow motion wasn't cheesy, because I know slow motion in the early 2000s with the cameras, it wasn't like very well up. I guess like not well put together, or it just looked really awkward, like kind of like that haziness where it's like the frames didn't match, so it kind of looked blurry and stuff. And this one, it was doing a lot better, with that slow motion. You could see more articulation with it, and it was more accurate to the flow of the frame rates. Awesome.
Yeah, Justin Lin's use of slow motion is really cool. In general, I think he's like a good director. Most of the movies in this franchise that he's made are good. His Star Trek movie is really good. That's like the best of those movies. He's a talented guy, and I think he shows in this movie. So acting be damned, like this is through like construction and like the visuals of it. This is a good movie, I would posit. I will say that some of the critics and audiences, I don't think, thought so, because of the first 3 movies, this did the worst. I'm pretty sure that both of the first 2 made at least over 200,000. I'm pretty confident on that.
Oh yeah,
this didn't. This only made $189 million. Sorry, 200 million, not 200,000. This made 189 million on an $85 million budget.
Ooh.
And accounting and advertising and all that, I'm pretty sure that this only barely scraped by profit wise. And then review wise, this also did very poorly. It has a 37 on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is the lowest of the first 3. And it's received some negative reviews. Roger Ebert gave it a positive review. Shout out to my man, Roger. But some of these people, Richard Roper gave it a negative review. He said it's preposterous. He said the acting is awful. Some of the worst performances he's ever seen, which, I mean, fair enough.
Yeah. Same critiques.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense, right? Because they introduced a brand new protagonist that like we have no rapport with. I have no connection to this man. I don't give a shit about him. So automatically that would turn a lot of people off. I
think the movie does like its best.
I'm not saying I am not saying like what they did was anything wrong. What I am saying is that this is black and white. If you have 2 movies that like you're following a single protagonist through a storyline, and all of a sudden they're going to throw this brand new person at you, and they want you to focus on him. I don't care about him. Yeah,
that's an understandable. Well, I think that's part of the reason why this movie didn't do so well. This is kind of like a thing that certain sequels do. Like you'll often like, not the A-list franchises, like you'll never see Star Wars do this. And now Fast and Furious is an A-list franchise, but like back then it wasn't. It was like a C-list franchise and add that.
Star Wars did do this. Okay.
No, but I'm saying like
not that bad.
Yeah, like when you have like these B or C-list franchises, they'll have a thing, they'll have like the second or third movie. It just takes like a huge detour and introduces a totally new plot with new characters. And it's like, it's a sequel, but not really. And that's something that they did in this movie. And it never goes over well. Like, even if the movie is good, which I think this movie is, it doesn't go over well because people go to a sequel to see the same characters that they've been watching. They don't go to see new characters. And I like one of the characters in this movie.
Right.
I like the one. And he is the only one that is in any future movies up until like F9 in any like substantive capacity from this film. Like Han is the only one that is carried forward. I mean, he died in this movie, but he's in future movies.
Right.
But
I just want to show you the stats of literally how low of a ranking it is.
Yeah, it's okay. Holy
lowest. Shit. It is so low compared to everything else. Like completely flatlined.
Yeah.
Wow, Furious 7 did really well. Look at them.
Yeah, Furious 7 did well because Paul Walker just died.
Yeah, so it's just like you can't expect people to just jump on this Sean train when we had already built this connection with Brian. When you when you watch a sequel to a movie, it's because you want to see more of what you've already seen. If I want to see something different, I'm going to watch a completely different series.
I like new things. Sequels should have a balance of same and new.
But see,
they did. They have Dom.
But
Very true.
The only consistency was the cars, and that's not who people cared about. I don't care about Sean. No one cares about Sean. No one cares about Sean.
You might care about Sean if he was played by a good actor, but he's not. Lucas Black in this movie makes Paul Walker look like a fucking thespian. Like he makes Paul Walker look like Laurence Olivier. Like he's that level of just like incompetent as an actor. It's not good. He has even less charisma. Like he's so unlikable as a protagonist that I think it's a miracle that this movie succeeds very much in spite of him.
Do you think like the not the casting director, but like the literal director's like, yeah, you have to be uptight. You have to deliver roles like that. You have to look like, or you just have to be basically so boring.
He looks like he has to take a massive shit.
Yeah,
constantly.
And it's not even a cool guy. It's not even a cool guy, kind of like laid back. It's kind of like you don't want to interact with that person because they're just boring. And I feel like a lot of people just like played on that by watching the Fast and Furious. And that's why so many people like jocks and stuff in the 2000s to 2010s are so boring. Like they didn't have personality because they thought personality would be like uncharismatic, dry line, Paul Walker, Sean looking ass acting wise.
What I didn't understand was like, okay, if we're gonna like go into the character of Sean, it's like he got into trouble so many times that it forced his mother to continuously like pull him out of cities and go somewhere else to start a new life. And because of him, and he's conscious of it, he knows what he's doing. His poor mother, who is just trying to do her best. I mean, we don't know a lot about her, right? But we assume
she's an instigator. I know that for sure.
She cares about her son so much that she'll fuck random men to get her son out of trouble.
Yeah,
like, no, I'm saying that's like a positive towards her. Like that's how much she loves her son, and he keeps fucking it up.
She's an instigator by allowing him to go through these she financially, emotionally, like that is so stressful and draining for her. But she's an instigator by like being like, you know what, I've had it, kind of thing. Like, dude, no, just go to juvie. Oh, instigator as in like she is like allowing him to do these things. So you think? I don't know.
You think that she's enabling him?
Yeah, enabling.
No. I think that like, sorry, I keep falling over my words. I think that what she was trying to do was rehabilitate him. Her intentions were, if I take him somewhere else for a brand new start, like he's going to see what he's doing wrong and he's going to try to do better because she sees the best in him and she wants him to be the best version of him. That's her goal as his mom. Like she isn't going to, like, she's his mother. She loves him so much. She's not going to just give up on him and be like,
yeah, she's not going to let him
just go to jail then.
Yeah, she's not going to do that. Eve, I actually think you touched on a really great point, which is part of, because you're talking about how you don't care about Sean. And you brought up a great point in that, like,
just his mom.
in this structure, in this film structure, right? Like the most similar this movie to this in terms of like structure that's really famous is The Karate Kid. And in that movie, you like Ralph Macchio's, I haven't seen that movie in like 15 years, so I don't remember his name, but you like that character, right? Because he's not a dick and he's not a fuck up. He moves to a new place. His mom is like a single mother. She's like that. Like his mom is like Sean's mom. But he's like a normal kid. Like he's nice. He means well. Like he's just doing his thing. And then these bullies come and start fucking with him. And that's when he starts to fight back by learning karate. And that gives you something to root for because we like people who are nice, who are good, who are sympathetic, who are likable. We like characters like that. We can appeal to characters like that. Sean is an unappealing protagonist because he's a dick and he's just like he like
takes advantage of people and exploits them for their kindness.
He's an egotistical like dickhead. He immediately like does a bunch of property damage, like trying to win a woman as a prize, in like a boneheaded race that he didn't need to do for no reason. Like fucks up his mother's life. Comes and starts fucking up his dad's life. His dad's trying to care about him. He doesn't listen to what his dad says at all. Doesn't give a shit. He takes Han's car, knowing full well that he can't drift, and completely fucks it up. Like, he's just fucking up like the only person he does right by at all is Twinkie. Like, he defends Bow Wow in a fight, but that's like it. Like, up until that point, he's like completely unlikable in every facet.
He's and that's
really, like, so it's like, why? Yeah, why would we like this person? Like, why would we care? They suck.
He's not a good person. Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. And so, Paul, it's so hard. It's so hard for me to hear when you were trying to put the fault on his mom, that like she's the enabler in this situation. She is not
the main. She's not the main fault. It's definitely on him. I'm just saying that that is a part of enabling him. I know it must have been really hard as a single mother to like kind of like stay on top of him and like where he's at. You know, she doesn't want to be like a helicopter mom or survey everything he's doing, but still, like, there's a point where you got to be like, dude, I got to take your license away. You can't drive. I'm going to take your car away, and you're going to have to take a fucking taxi to school or some shit. I don't know. Something could have been in a more disciplinary action than the law enforcement, you know, but
even if she had taken his license away from him, like, let's say hypothetically that was something that happened, he was going to find a way to go drive a car illegally anyway. So like, I don't think that there was anything that she could have done to make him a better person. I think he was just a fucked up person. Shitty. But we also aren't really given a reason to why he's a shitty person.
That's exactly what I mean. Where it's like she cares, and it seems like if she, you know, like there would have been more, like if it's financially like moving, like what about therapy? That would have been cheaper than just picking up and moving cities. You know what I'm saying?
I do think we are given a reason, because that's the whole like parents being separated thing. Like, I think we're supposed to intuit like his racing and all his bad behavior is like a manifestation of like angst or whatever, because he doesn't have a good father figure, because his dad's not in his life, because his dad dipped out and went to Japan. And like our first introduction to his dad is that his dad didn't pick him up from the airport because he was like having sex with, was that like a prostitute? I don't want to like, I think it was like supposed to be a prostitute or something, or just some random woman. Like, but his dad is like drinking. He's an alcoholic, like, who has sex with random women and forgets to pick up his son from the airport. So it's like, well, this is the reason, I guess, like why Sean isn't a good guy. So we're given a reason, but even still, like, I don't know. It's just hard to care about a character who is not only played by an actor who isn't very good, but he's playing a character who is like just unlikable. Like, that's just a bad mixture in terms of your leading man.
It's just it's just so hard for me to hear somebody say, like, as a parent, you could have done more. Because at some point, you need to put that responsibility on your shitty fucking child. Because
he's like 17.
He's 17.
Not 10.
No. Like, if you have like a kid that's being a dick to other people in school, and they're like, 10, 12, then that's a parenting fault. But at some point when they get older and they are able to self-reflect on their person and the things that they do and the way they affect the people outside of them, you need to put that responsibility on him. Sean is a shitty fucking person. His mom, you can tell she cares about him so much, and she tried to do everything that she could for him. And he absolutely refused to see the kindness in his mom and do better.
Yeah, he exploited that. He was advantageous on that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I wasn't shitting on her, though.
You were saying she was an instigator. She was not an instigator.
Yeah, she didn't do anything.
Enabler. My bad.
She was not. He was not. She was not enabling him either.
No, she didn't enable him. No, she did her best. The worst part about Sean, though, is that like he's 45 and he still lives at home.
That's the worst part.
Yeah, it's like, come on, like
I feel like that's why I feel like he looked older, and that's why I feel like he. That's why I said like she seemed like an enabler, but like it was just because he seemed 45. And that's the thing. Like, it wasn't not until I found out he was in high school when I was like, oh, it's just a shitty kid that's angsty with like testosterone blooming out of him, you know? So that's why I go back on my comment and I'm going to edit everything I said out.
But, you
have to keep all your incorrect statements in. Everyone has to know that you're a fool. And me and Eve are correct and smart geniuses.
We're galaxy brain over here. But
right.
My therapist said something a while back. She said, we don't create our problems, but we're the ones that have to fix them. So even if Sean, like even if there were external circumstances that made him the person that he is old enough to understand what he's doing. And that self-reflection needs to come at his responsibility at some point. So even, you know, like when I was in high school, just a little like introspection into my childhood. Like when I was in high school, I was a shitty kid. Like I shoplifted, I lashed out at my parents. And as I got older and became an adult, like all of that trauma kind of came back to me. And I was the person that had to do all of the internal work to make sure that I was no longer a shitty person. Even if it was my parents' fault, I'm not saying that it was, but if it was my parents' fault, I was the person that had to do the work to make sure that I wasn't hurting people outside of me.
And so that accountability and stuff. Which
absolutely.
He didn't have that trait of taking accountability, even for Han's car, which is why we didn't like him, because he had no sense of accountability, no respect for people's property, anything. Yeah.
He paid off his car eventually, but it's just like the fact that you'd even do that to begin with is fucked up. He does. I mean, I don't know. We don't really get a lot of him and his father. Like they don't really have like a meaningful reconnection, but he does end up driving his dad's car or whatever. Like in the final action sequence, his dad's car that he's been building, which I guess is sort of like a metaphor for their relationship or some nonsense like that. That's how I interpreted it. And so now like they get to reconnect, even though they spent all of like 5 minutes in the movie together. But I mean, it's like, I don't know. He's just not a good guy. Sean is not a good guy, but the best part, the worst part, and the best part is that he's coming back, baby, in F9.
Jesus Christ!
We're getting Sean Boswell. We're getting Bow Wow.
God,
we're getting one of Han's like friends, like one of the guys who works in his gang, and Han will be in F9. He's coming back. # Justice for Han. So that's exciting. Maybe Sean Boswell will be a less annoying, terrible person. In F9, his girlfriend is not in it.
He grew. I'm pretty sure like Eve like jumped on the script writing and was like, you gotta take accountability. You gotta change your character. Your mom is only gonna do so much. Your dad sucks. So Sean, get your shit together.
Well, yeah. Now his parents are dead because he's like what 80 years old. So they're like they've got to be like 140 because he's so fucking old. He's such an old person.
Sean, you are.
Breaking news, Sean, your parents are dead. More after the break. Eve, okay. I thought it was funny. I just want to say I thought it was funny that you mentioned like how you stole stuff as a teenager. Because the one thing you didn't mention is how you tortured like 100,000 Iraqi civilians.
Oh, exactly. Shit. You know, I forgot about that. That was a phase in my life that I went through.
Yeah, Eve Cheney.
Please don't put that in. I didn't do any of that.
No, it's on the record. If you look at Eve's Wikipedia page, which absolutely exists, and I'm writing right now, it'll say they tortured 100,000 Iraqi civilians during the Iraq War.
I'm making a shirt of it.
I did it with rats and buckets.
Exactly.
God, what's up
rats
with
and
rats?
Buckets? Was there a torture scene in this movie?
There's no. Yeah, I was about to say like really quick. There's no torture scene. There's no just torture rats. Scene. Because Yakuza, thank you. That's why they use the Yakuza, because you know they're a extremely violent threat in itself. So that makes sense.
Oh, another fun fact I remember reading. I believe that one of the Yakuza members in this movie, I think just one of the background extras, I don't think it was his uncle or anything, but apparently one of them was missing fingers, one of the actors. Oh. And when the movie played in Japan, they had to digitally re-add the fingers because cutting off fingers is like a torture tactic that the Yakuza actually use.
So they couldn't
so they didn't want that in the movie in Japan, so they digitally re-added his fingers. God, so in a roundabout way, there was some torture in this movie. There was some post-torture. And I'm sure Sean's girlfriend is living a torturous life because now she has to be with an absolute loser who looks like he's 47 years old. This movie, so critically it didn't do well. Financially it didn't do well. I mean, it did okay, but this movie did not open at #1 at the box office. But another movie was #1 at the box office while this was playing, and it's sort of thematically similar. Play a guessing game. Movies in the mid-2000s that are somewhat similar to Fast and the Furious that would have been #1 at the box office. Each of you give me like 1 or 2 guesses. Clock is ticking. Eve, what do you think? What movie was it?
That did the best?
Yeah, the weekend this movie debuted, what movie was at #1? It's similar to Fast and the Furious. Not in a lot of ways, but in some key ways.
At the same time?
Yes.
I don't know 2006 very well. How old was I? I was like 8.
Yeah, that's old enough. I know this movie.
I don't.
Paul?
Glory Road.
No. Do you have another guess?
I have one more. Can I phone a friend?
Yes.
I
Not
phone
Google.
Eve.
Okay.
I phone Eve. I phone Eve, my only friend.
I don't know.
RV.
Eve, help him
RV.
out.
Was it RV?
It wasn't RV. That's a good guess. I'm going to call it. Hit the buzzer.
Oh, okay. The buzzer.
Yeah, hit the buzzer. Your time is up. Thank you. It was Cars, baby.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Life is a highway. I want to ride it all night long. 2 movies about cars on the same weekend. And this was the least successful. That's sort of like 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood. And I took the cars less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. That's what Robert Frost said, right? It was about the weekend that Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift debuted at the box office.
I have no idea, but 2006. Right. It was the start of a lot of franchises. Ice Age,
Robert Frost. He was way ahead of his time.
That's right. He was. Robert Frost predicted the Cars franchise and Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Wow. Good for
That's
him.
right. Was Pirates of the Caribbean this year?
Oh, Dead Man's Chest was. And
That's what a stacked year, man. Like Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, Cars,
Borat.
Happy Feet. Holy fuck. Borat. That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Happy Feet was a good movie. I liked that.
It was better than Cars.
For environmentalism. Absolutely right.
I can tie this back into Cars because Happy Feet is directed by George Miller, director of the Mad Max franchise. And Mad Max is also famously a movie where lots of people drive fast cars.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
That's good character development, though.
In Mad Max or in Happy Feet?
Both. Absolutely both. Mambo? Come on.
The Mambo?
The Mambo. Right? Mumbo? That was played by...
Is that a Happy... I haven't seen Happy Feet in...
Mumbo's played by...
Is it what's his name from The Lord of the Rings?
No.
He's in that movie, right?
Oh my God. I was going to say the genie in Aladdin. He's so famous. Why am I forgetting
Robin Williams?
Robin Williams is Mumbo.
That's fucked up. You forgot him and he died. And you still forgot him.
I forget about Paul Walker. He's dead.
Well, everyone's forgotten about Paul Walker.
Jesus Christ. Elijah Wood. I didn't mean Elijah Wood. Hugh Jackman's in that shit.
Elijah Wood. Elijah Wood, but do you know who lies about his wood?
Elijah wouldn't.
Do you know who lies about his wood?
Say it.
Is it
Ja
Rule? He lies about getting erections.
Hold up. Breaking news. So here's the cast of Happy Feet really quick. Elijah Wood, Robin Williams, Brittany Murphy, Hugh Jackman, Nicole Kidman, Anthony.
Is Brittany Murphy dead?
Most of them are dead, which is a trend. It's really wild. It's like a hit list. And Steve Irwin. The dude that got, he got like annihilated by a stingray.
Couldn't be me. I'm built different.
Jesus Christ.
Couldn't be me. All the ways that all the actors in that movie died, I would not die in any of those ways because I'm built different.
Christ.
The only way I could die is getting killed by a Yakuza boss after losing like a race on a mountaintop.
Yeah, not by flipping your car like the first.
Speaking of races, I believe our good friend Eve is racing towards the finish line of the proverbial race that is this recording of this podcast. And we've also reached sort of the finish line. So I believe we're done. Sorry for the abrupt ending, folks. Stay tuned next week where we're talking about the worst one of these movies, Fast and Furious. Follow us on social media at Gotta Watch Pod. If you don't, I will kill you. That's a real threat. I will come to your house.
I will drift my car into your house. My 2014 Corolla into your house.
Exactly. And remember, if you have any complaints about anything said during the show, make sure to email or DM Eve. They're really eager to hear your thoughts.
I'm just so excited.
They're going to actively read everything you send them. So thanks for listening, folks.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
You could, really quick, you could follow us on social media at Gotta Watch Pod on Twitter. And that's it. Of course, Eve is the one to check everything.
Yes.
That's me, apparently.
Yeah, they are HR.
I guess.
They're HR.
Okay.
Bye.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good night.
No, bye. We love you all. I'll give each and every one of you a kiss.
I don't fucking love any of these people.
Oh, that's
I'm just
don't
kidding.
say.
I'm kidding. I'm
Cut
kidding.
that out.
You went off
Cut
on
that
me about
out.
the mother.
Cut that out. Get that out of
You're mad
here,
with me. Eat another fruit roll up.
Paul. You need to cut that.
No, you can cut it. It's fine. I was joking.